Happy World Tourism Day, everybody who's watching, listening, and it gives us great pleasure to bring one of our regular collaborators on air. Sheena Kapoor is Head Marketing, Corporate Communications and CSR at ICICI Lombard. They've been worthy partners over the years on our Get Some Sun property, which a lot of you love listening to, all you travel enthusiasts. And remember, wherever you go, you must have travel insurance. Wonderful to see you. How are you? And thank you for being kind enough to come to our radio station and have this chat.
Thank you so much, Hrishi, and I think the pleasure is all yours.
Absolutely all mine.
I'm just kidding, but no, I'm equally excited to be here. Thank you so much.
You know, safe tourism has assumed a whole new dimension. And when it comes to ensuring safe tourism, what do travelers have to keep in mind when they're looking for travel insurance? I think that would be a good place to start. And how does ICICI Lombard make sure its insurance plans address those important factors in its offerings?
Right. So I think all of us, and you spoke about travel enthusiasts, all of us love to travel, whether it's for business or pleasure or vacation. And one realizes that actually, if you really want to have complete security and peace of mind, travel insurance is a necessity. And unfortunately, in India, the penetration is very low, even though the awareness seems to be on the higher side. People know that they should take a travel insurance, but a lot of times customers don't, because they see it as, as unnecessary expense. But however, travel insurance is a necessary, purchase, simply because there are a lot of uncertainties or twists in the tail that could come when you're traveling. You could have trip cancellations. You could have, an illness. You could have been struck with COVID while you were traveling, as we have seen in the past 2 years. There could have been an unfortunate accident. You could even lose your passport or personal belongings, or your baggage. So there are multiple things and uncertainties where you are left vulnerable as a traveler, you and your family or your friends. And therefore, those are the situations that as a travel insurer, we cover. And so that you can travel safely, enjoy your travel or vacation, and leave all the worries to us.
That's lovely. Leave all the worries to us. I'd like to actually now get into case studies, individual occurrences, instances, experiences that people have had to face where ICICI Lombard has come through for them. And these are not just something that I've conjured up. These are actual happenstances, things which have happened during travelers' lives. And something really important happened, not in a very nice way, for a Mumbai resident who was traveling to Thailand for a holiday around about the time COVID-19 was still prevalent. And I'd like you to talk about how you came through for somebody who's your partner, your collaborator, somebody who bought your travel insurance.
Yeah, as a customer, I can share a few incidents, how we've really come, and that's really, as an insurer, that's the moment of truth, to actually see whether the partner is there by your side, has your back when you actually really need it, right, during the claim. So this particular customer was actually Mumbai based and traveling to Thailand, and this was in Jan last year when he was struck with COVID, and that meant that he had to actually be admitted in Thailand for about 10 days. And ICICI Lombard, because he was a policy holder, we enabled an entire seamless experience so that the entire hospitalization and the treatment was cashless, and making sure that the patient and our customer is well taken care of. So there's no hassle about running around trying to get, and even in international markets, as you can well imagine, the treatment cost and the whole medical cost can actually be very inflationary in nature and can actually cause a big dent in your pocket. So to that extent, it's always advisable to be well protected, well secured. And ICICI Lombard here was, one such incident where we stood by, our customer side. I could share and relay.
One is being afflicted by illness, by a virus like the COVID virus. But there are so many times something just completely unforeseen happens. You might be going on a foreign vacation and an accident happens, a fall happens. And I'm given to understand that a person who held ICICI Lombard Travel Insurance was traveling from Delhi to Canada. The last point of disembarkation being Toronto, and this is Delhi, Zurich, Montreal, Toronto, and he or she had a fall or fracture.
Yes. Again, very unfortunate scenario, and but these incidents don't come knocking as predicted, right? Life is unpredictable, and that is what insurance is, to take care of the uncertainties and the unpredictabilities of nature. In this case, the customer actually by accident had a fall and actually fractured both the legs, which meant that the customer actually needed a surgery, an urgent surgery. But obviously a surgery of this kind, or orthopedic in nature, would necessitate a longer post-operative care. And the patient was actually, the customer had actually planned for a 30 or a 3-month window, so it's a 90-day window travel period, but was very clear that wanted to have the surgery in India so that he can be looked after even from the post-operative care, and didn't want to be in Canada at that point in time. So again, because he was an ICICI Lombard policy holder, we enabled an entire evacuation and repatriation back to India seamlessly, covered the expenses because he had the insurance cover, and ensured that he gets his treatment here in India like he wanted, and necessitated the entire experience quite seamlessly. Again,
That's
cashless.
Wonderful. Cashless, and as per the needs of the person purchasing the insurance, as opposed to straddling them with lots of rules and regulations. I remember, as a family of 4, when we traveled to Sri Lanka, a lot of our journeys were these long, winding coastal roads, or the railway. Simply because it's a small country, Colombo is developed. I think they were just about building the airport at Kandy at the time. So some countries, especially small island nations, which are very, very beautiful, road transport might be the only way out, or perhaps one of 2 ways out. And that, God forbid, would lead to some eventualities. And I believe you did have a case like that.
Yes, this one is actually very tragic and very unfortunate. This was a family of 5 traveling to Sri Lanka, and like you said, were wanting to take by the car and road transport so that they're able to enjoy the scenery and the landscapes. But unfortunately, they met with an accident, so the car toppled over, and very sadly actually left 3 members of the family deceased. And obviously, it was a very traumatic experience for the customer. And one can't even begin to fathom or imagine the kind of state of duress, that the family would be in. And you're in a foreign land. So we, because, again, he was insured and was our customer, we actually designated a local agent first and foremost, to ensure that the entire hospitalization for the 2 and the treatment is cashless. We also ensured that all the assistance with respect to evacuation of the survivors as well as the remains of the deceased family members were brought back to India. So the entire evacuation, the cashless hospitalization treatment, and just the comfort of a local agent being there who understands your pain and anguish, and to whatever extent was able to take at least the logistical worries out of your head. So to that extent, and very sad experience. But I think it yet again undermines the importance and the value of being well insured, especially on travel, since we're talking travel, but even otherwise, whether you're talking motor or health or, business insurance or even life insurance.
Before I round up this section and go into the next part of our conversation, as a Formula One fan, I was crestfallen when Michael Schumacher had a skiing accident. And I was like, man, why did this have to happen? Millions of fans around the world felt that way. I know for a fact that ICICI Lombard will cover you for travel irrespective of whether it's business or adventure travel. So I think that would be a nice point to sign off. I mean, somebody who wants to go on a skiing holiday to Switzerland or, the Alps, how one can opt for a policy depending on the nature of your trip.
Oh, yes, totally. So, insurance, travel insurance is flexible, is customizable, and it is customizable to the needs of the traveler, based and dependent on the activity that the traveler is initiating. You mentioned an adrenaline junkie, for instance, a ski diver. It could be a bungee jumper. If and foremost you are revealing the activity that you're going to be undertaking in a foreign location, you have cover specially catering to that. For instance, you could even have a cruise-let cover if you wanted to cover on any kind of accidents or cover that you need while you're stranded on a cruise. You could have even a bail bond cover. God forbid if you were to caught up in some legal issues in a foreign country, and it could just be out of pure innocence or ignorance of the local rules. There is cover that we enable for that. And there are, like I mentioned, customization that you can do on multiple aspects. We have insurance cover ranging from up to 5 lakh USD. Even in terms of the age demographics, we can cover age groups of starting a 3-month-old infant to as high as an 85-year-old person or a senior citizen. Also, the policy enables you to not undertake any kind of prior medical checkup or examination. You can do that up to the last minute that you're actually booking your tickets. Even up to at the airport, you could buy an insurance policy, and it's very seamless, literally just a click away. So we've enabled all these platforms, even on the digital side, through our mobile, through our WhatsApp, through a 24/7 support, through an AI agent, chatbot, all of these to make it a very digital, seamless purchase of the insurance itself.
It's a World Tourism Day special. Sheena Kapoor, Head Marketing, Corporate Communications and CSR at ICICI Lombard, has joined me on the show. Now to the next part. I mean, concepts like workation, which is a combination of work and a vacation, and bleisure, which is business and leisure. All of this has gained so much traction, not just with Gen Z lingo, but also what we went through in the pandemic. I mean, people now want to work wherever they want to work. Are there any innovative insurance products from ICICI Lombard that you believe could reshape the way people perceive travel coverage? And how are you adapting your insurance solutions to cater to these changing preferences?
No, you're right. And speaking of bleisure, maybe the next time we could be having this interview in Maldives, sipping on margaritas, if both our companies allowed it. But yes, I think these have been the recent trends in travel. One is the whole revenge travel that has really kicked in ever since COVID and being marooned for 2 years, in the comforts of your home. And post-opening today, the fares have exponentially risen, the airfares. You will find most hotels on full capacity, especially around seasonalities. The trend of digital nomads, what COVID really proliferated was the ability to actually work out of practically and remotely out of any location, which has led to the vacations. So you combine vacations and work, especially for the digital nomads. And bleisure, because a lot of the travelers we see, and I'm sure you could relate to that, and so could the listeners. Even if you were to travel overseas, on work trip, typically you would want to extend the work trip by another few days just to be able to get the local culture, nuancing, and enjoy the cafes, and that's the leisure aspect, which is dovetailing the business aspect. So from an insurance lens, one is of course to reinforce and reiterate the entire plethora of uncertainties that go along with the the nature of the the beast, which could be trip cancellations or delays or, loss of baggage or even a passport, or it could be, hospitalization that you may need. But what we've also done over and above this is, for instance, a lot of the times you may, for instance, a pleasure trip, you may want to do multi-trip kind of a travel, right? You're going to multiple destinations on that one tour. We have actually enabled insurance cover which ranges from 3 days up to 6 months, 180 days, which you can pretty much choose, customize, depending on how many days you need it during the term, and you could use that for a period of 1 year, and it doesn't matter how many trips you take during that 1 year, basis the kind of coverage that you've taken on the number of days. You could take n number of trips during those 6 months, and irrespective of the destination, irrespective of the frequency, and you could switch it on and off while you are in that destination. So that's the kind of
Sounds
feature.
like a mobile roaming card.
Yeah.
That's lovely. So listen, it's World Tourism Day. How do you and the brand envision deeper collaborations between the insurance sector, insurance providers, and the tourism industry? And I'd like it if you could give some examples of how such partnerships could enhance the overall travel experience for customers, anybody who's listening.
Right. I think not just on World Tourism Day, but yes, it's an inflection point to be able to pick up the subject and talk more passionately and emphatically about this. But the whole ecosystem of travel, which includes your airlines, your travel agencies, tour operators, your platforms, which are your ticketing platforms and booking platforms. It's about, and of course the insurers. It's about all of us coming together to be able to educate the need for travel insurance. I think it's very important that we keep emphasizing on the importance that this is not something which is an unnecessary surplus. It is not, and literally if you talk about even from a costing perspective, it's 1/10 of the cost. If you travel overseas, it could push you back anywhere between 2 lakhs to 7 lakhs depending on the kind of travel and stay and the numbers of families that you're traveling for, and the destination. Literally 1/10 of that would be your travel insurance. So you're talking about a cover for the peace of mind and security for that entire trip, and to be able to safeguard yourself against any kind of unfortunate incident that may occur. For literally maybe for 2,000, 3,000 rupees. In the overall sense, it's very minuscule for the kind of peace of mind that you could get. So it's about a lot of education and awareness in informing and educating the customers on the need. I think the second is about being able to give a packaged and bundled product of travel insurance as in when the customer is planning their travel or is booking their tickets. It's also about working closely with the insurers to be able to provide customizable or flexible options. So for instance, if there are travelers, like you mentioned, on the adrenaline junkies who are wanting to do some say extreme sports or which need that kind of coverage for say sports related injuries or loss of equipment, you could cater to policies that cover those aspects, and over and above this, it's about also I think working closely with the regulator and the industry to hopefully in the years to come make this mandatory to travel, at least for international, which today it isn't. But I think that would be a big, a propeller to actually drive penetration for travel insurance.
Well, I have to actually thank you and your team for this next question because it's given me a very interesting idea for perhaps the next season or the season after next of Get Some Sun, which is our travel show. Really, it's so important. Sustainable travel practices, and today more than ever before, people are asking the right vital questions. And for those of you who are listening, watching, normally one has a discussion with the person one is interviewing or their team, saying what are things we can pick up as talk points. And this is something that the ICICI Lombard team was very keen on exploring and discussing, and kudos to them. So I'd like you to talk about ICICI Lombard's efforts to align its travel insurance offerings with sustainable travel practices, and any initiatives or strategies that are aimed at supporting the eco-conscious traveler, alongside, of course, providing that comprehensive coverage that you've been talking about.
No, sure. I think not just in travel, but in a lot of, spaces, especially in organizations and boardroom agendas, one finds the entire sustainability, ESG aspects taking more and more prominence in discussions. And it stems from individuals and organizations as corporate citizens trying to build a greener, more sustainable world for ourselves and for the generations to come, and really respecting the planet. And in case of travel, when you travel, especially for the nature lovers, when you're traveling to, a lot of these beautiful destinations where you have these gorgeous, stunning landscapes, it's about bringing the consciousness of co-inhabiting and coexisting with nature. Even if you went for a wildlife safari, not disturbing the balance, the natural balance of the ecosystem, about actually signing up for hotels which are eco-friendly. They may have renewable energies, they may have eco bedding, they may have even vegan or organic food options, they may have even electric vehicles for a transport. Even from a transport perspective, trying to discover and explore the location and destination on foot, so that you're not adding to the climate and the pollution perspective, but you're also being fit, and you're able to actually also take in a lot more nuances of the cultural and the local cuisines or the sightseeing, and you're able to appreciate the beauty a lot more closely. Even on airlines, for instance, airlines is, obviously the carbon footprint attached with them is very high. So trying to reduce that, but trying to opt for either direct flights or, at best, one-stop layovers, so that you're able to reduce the kind of air transport that you have. Or, you mentioned even in countries like, Sri Lanka, trying to use the local railway and the public transport itself to be able to get a better, again, a local understanding and appreciate the nuancing a lot better. And I think it enriches your experience so much more, and you can, say to yourself that, okay, I've tried to reduce my carbon footprint and leading a more sustainable choice consciously in life. Yeah.
Well, remember to thank us, because I'm going to put you onto a blog on the ICICI Lombard website. It's ICICILombard.com. That's www.ICICILombard.com. And if you actually go to the blog section, there is a Plan Your Eco-Friendly Holiday the Budget-Friendly Way, which is a blog on the website. And along with that, just a subtle message for you guys to follow the ICICI Lombard Insurance the Twitter handle, Instagram page, as well as Facebook page. They're very active on social media. And obviously, not just social media. I mean, let's talk about technology and digital tools that you have. And you've made such rapid strides over the last decade to improve the accessibility, the convenience, the effectiveness of travel insurance services.
Yeah, I think it's a euphemism to say that you have to be digital first. I think that is now really integrated into the very ethos and the core DNA of as an organization of ICICI Lombard. So on the tech side, we've made huge leaps, and there are a slew of initiatives, and I could talk about that, but sticking to the travel insurance aspect, one is the entire access and availability of travel insurance, through a very digital, seamless platform to the customer, whether it's literally just a few clicks away. You want to buy it on the website, you would like to take it up on the I'll Take Care app, You can chat on WhatsApp with Ria. We have a responsive, intelligent agent. So the entire process of purchase is actually very digital and seamless. Then you come to the claims aspect. The claim aspect also is extremely seamless when AI led. So literally you get even the policy document is issued, in an e-form, and on a claim settlement, in case you did have to go through that, you could pretty much just chat on WhatsApp, and the AI at the back end would be able to flag off where you are in the journey, help you in the resolution of the claim settlement, and also by when your claim would be settled and by what amount, to that level of integration. We use AI in a lot of real-time assessments as well from a risk perspective. We are using AI on the travel, and that's futuristic, but you would see that there are a lot of new emerging risks today, especially with global, climatic conditions. You could have political risks, you could have emerging climate risks, and those are the AI tools that we're using to actually also look at and assess the risks on the emerging side, and to be able to do assessment of pricing accordingly. And there is data that we work on real time in association with some of our travel operators and agents to actually keep the well-being of the traveler and the customer paramount and foremost.
When I look at ICICI Lombard's travel insurance portfolio, there are a few things you covered in this interview. For example, you talked about trip cancellation. You talked about cruise cover for maritime journeys. You talked about medical covers, hospital medical evacuation, repatriation that you've been doing. But just a couple of these features, which I find quite fascinating. Bail bond cover. I'd like you to talk about that. And of course, the loss of valuables, electronic equipment, personal money, those covers.
Right. So again, bail bond cover is to be able to actually provide you a cover in a situation, and hopefully nobody should really need it, but in a situation where you run into some legal hassles in a foreign country, because you're not aware of the local laws, and you're not aware of the rules and regulations, and you may actually end up indulging in a very innocent gesture or activity, not knowing, and unwittingly, may have crossed certain boundaries which are unacceptable. And therefore a bail bond cover is to be able to provide you that kind of cover from a legal hassle, and penal measures. Of course, it's a lot more complex than that and would differ from case to case. So that's one example of the bail bond cover. The other aspects, like I mentioned, we cover policies that cover loss of baggage. It could be, loss of passport, loss of jewelry.
I obsess about my electronic equipment.
Yeah. My husband was traveling a few years ago to Italy, and in Milan, the day he landed, he got mugged.
Ouch.
He got mugged and was without his wallet. Thankfully, the insurance cover and a local friend was there to help. But you just have these completely unforeseen scenarios that may occur.
It's an International Tourism Day special with Sheena Kapoor, Head Marketing Corporate Communications and CSR at ICICI Lombard. We're entering the home stretch of this interview, so I know actually what you said made a lot of sense. When you said it's not just about International Tourism Day, you do all these things through the year, which is fabulous. It's like Women's Day. I mean, why shouldn't we celebrate it every day? Why shouldn't there be a day for
absolutely.
it? But still, since it is International Tourism Day, I'd like you to just skim through how you plan to use this wonderful occasion to help promote safe and enjoyable travel.
So again, we are hoping on this day to actually educate customers on the importance of travel insurance and the need for travel insurance. Some sort of travel tips through our blog and content about how they can make curated experiences and travel a lot more interesting from an experience standpoint. Also, we have done a recent survey and study on the research side website which has some interesting insights and trends related to travel insurance, and we'd like to bring that again to the media and to the forefront. And I'll give you a simple example. The level of awareness for travel insurance is about quite high. It's in the range of 70 to 75%, although the penetration is very low. And then we looked at certain age groups, and we found what were the kind of inflection points and the tendency and propensity to buy insurance for these demographics, as well as by destination. So there are these interesting contours, and I think on the World Tourism Day, it's a function of content, both on the research side, insights, as well as educating customers and building more awareness overall. Travel safely and travel completely peacefully. Leave your worries behind and let us be your invisible travel partner on the journey.
So I'm going to actually sign off with a very Get Some Sun-esque bit. This is a program that ICICI Lombard has been kind enough to support over the years. And one of the reasons people tune into the show is where to go to. And you have some very interesting statistics about top international travel destinations as of now, as we speak, and the factors influencing travel insurance purchase. And almost like a corollary to that, I'm curious, does the life stage of a consumer have any impact on the purchase intent? I mean, for example, you could be single, you could be a couple, you could have a larger family, nuclear family, I don't know. So I think that'll be a nice way to sign off. Top travel destinations and, those statistics.
Now, I think before I get to that, Hrishi, you touched upon Get Some Sun, and I have to say that this is now 7 years that we've been associated and collaborated, on Get Some Sun with Radio 1. And I think it's a successful collaboration simply because it has actually a combination and a cumulative impact of the Trinity, as I call it. So there's you and Radio 1, and you've got your loyalist listeners, and the content and the music playlist is absolutely top of the line. And actually a lot of it I resonate very strongly with in my playlist on a daily basis. The second being, the Ranveer Singh, of course, who of course brings his very inimitable style and very unique style of being the Sutradhar and protagonist, and bringing alive a lot of his own experiences of travel and the conversations, and trying to build a lot more content which is very engaging and enriching and exciting. And third, of course, ICICI Lombard. We as the largest private insurer of the country, I think we're well placed to talk about travel insurance, and I think therefore this trinity is great. In fact, I should also let you know that our recent brand track studies have shown a very high index of awareness of Get Some Sun, as well as a very high affinity score for this program. So there are a lot of people who know about this, and we have data now to prove, and who like it. Coming to your actual question on the actual statistics, so yes, you're right. Our studies actually proved that about 74% of travelers from the north, actually North India, they take travel insurance more towards destination like Europe, followed by Southeast Asia. Middle East, we've seen as a destination for some strange reason. A lot of customers have a lower propensity to take a travel insurance vis-a-vis as compared to, say, Europe or Southeast Asia. You spoke about family units and the life stage. We have found that about 84% of individual or single household or travelers, they have a likelihood and intent to purchase the travel insurance. And this goes dramatically up as you build your family association. So if you are a couple, it goes up to 92%. if you are a couple with kids, if you're a family, I think the responsibility and the consciousness of taking care of your family unit really kicks in, and that jumps up suddenly to 96%. So that's the kind of range that we've seen, even on the travel insurance side with the intent to purchase.
Please follow ICICI Lombard on Instagram, Facebook, as well as Twitter. Go to the website ICICILombard.com. It's really exciting and vibrant and interactive. This is Sheena Kapoor, Head Marketing, Corporate Communications and CSR. Happy International Tourism Day to all of you. You're listening to us on 94.3 Radio 1 in audio form. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. This is the Radio 1 International YouTube channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Likewise. Thank you so much. Thank you.
94.3 Radio 1.